guys, here's a review of the operations of this beautiful super Nautique G25. There's a lock to lock the trailer down. When putting this boat in the water, you want to basically bury these wheel wells, and the driver may have to drive it off a little bit depending on the launch. For putting the boat back on the trailer, again, just cover these wheel wells with water and drive the boat onto the trailer. If you don't quite get the front all the way up, just have the driver of the truck back in a little bit deeper. But basically, with these types of boats, especially a boat this size, you drive this onto the trailer, and the winch is only meant to get it the last couple inches nice and snug. So pretty simple. It'll straighten itself out. You just drive right on. There is a cover over the swim platform. Little storage locker here. All your lockers, or all your life jackets are in this locker, and our ballast bag is underneath, which continues under this seat. Same thing over here, ballast bag continues under this seat, and there's a tube. This is your 550 horsepower supercharged PCM engine. Please check the oil periodically. There's a dipstick. It does have built-in fire suppression. Your ropes are in here. This back seat here will flip up to be a backrest, and then it can pull all the way back to here. This is access to your batteries, and this is where the drain plug goes. Especially for going across borders, we always state to pull the drain plug, and at the watercraft inspection stations, they will be looking for this plug to be out. This is a handy little cooler area. Just be careful closing this lid that there's no toes around. This is a glove box. We'll have the key in here for you for the lock on the front. Unfortunately, the stereo Bluetooth is not working, so you will have to use a cable to your phone. This is a nice big storage locker, so we got all your surfboards and wakeboards in here. There's also the amps, the subwoofer, and a handy little garbage container that you can access right from the side. So when trailering down the highway, it is important to have this closed so that we don't have too much wind blowing on the tarp. So this simply just slides in here. On this side, you have your safety box. You have a flashlight, whistle, and all the safety gear that you need. There's spare parts and the registration and a paddle and a pump for the tube. And on this side, we have all your bumpers and mooring ropes. Bimini tower. This cover comes off. Straps are back here. Just put this under a seat. And then basically it's hinged inside, and both sides flip over left to right and clip in here. Okay, operation of the boat. So it is nice and handy to have your battery switch right here. Always recommend leaving it off when not in use. You never know if something's trickling on the batteries. You don't want to come out to your next morning and have a dead battery. So always be in the habit of turning it off. So this boat does not take a key. I will put in, there's a passcode that goes on these buttons down here, so I'll put that in. Once you put the passcode in, hit the start button. It'll boot to the first screen. And then we will hit the start button one more time. And it will load up to this screen. And you always want to say no here, because this automatically wants to drain all the bilge pumps. It's like a go back to dock mode. So we're going to say no here. Okay. So this is your fan for your engine exhaust. So run that a few minutes before you start up your engine every day. And preferably open up the locker and just let it air out. You don't want gas fumes to explode inside there. Your different lights settings are on there as well. Now this screen is complicated, and this is the main point of this video. So I'm going to try to make it very, very simple. First of all, the volume always defaults to going on, so you can control it here. Turn that down. Now, once you start the boat by hitting the start button for the third time, do not worry about anything on the screen. Just shift into reverse, get off the trailer, pick up your friends, and just go out into the middle of the lake. Nothing here needs to be touched at this point. So I'll explain how to go through some of these screens in a simple mode, because it can be a little overwhelming. And so I'll try to keep it simple so that it's pretty user-friendly for you. So right now, for example, if you wanted to fill up the ballast, there's this little button right here. So you have your port, starboard, and belly tanks. On this boat, it's important to note that the belly tank, once full, you can shut it off by simply can hear it running. We won't run it dry. Turn that off by simply hitting the fill button again, and it'll shut it off once you see the indicator that this tank is full. So for the port and starboards, once these become full, and it does take a long time to fill on this boat, there's a lot of ballast in here. Expect about close to 30 minutes, because once the hard tanks below the floor fill, then those ballast bags that are in those two lockers and underneath these two seats will start filling after the hard tanks below fill. So you might think it's full on the screen, and it's not, because this is factory settings, and the factory boat only came with the hard tanks. So the bags are an additional, and it does make a big difference, especially for surfing. I don't recommend it for wakeboarding. The factory is tons for ballast. But for surfing, definitely want to put a little bit more water on the side you're surfing on, and just manually look at the bags. Once you get to the bags to the level that you want, then turn the pumps off. And because this boat is running the pumps for quite a while, it can be draining on the batteries, so highly suggest to keep the boat running and idle while you're filling the boat. And you can be moving at a slow speed as well. That's not a problem to do that. Same thing goes for draining. So that's the ballast. So we'll just hit the home screen. Now you got the ballast filled up. You want to surf. So we'll go to the surf button down here. Okay, on the surfing tab, again, these are different settings you have. So we're on the surf. This switch surf is this different side. So right now you can see above the little 5 there, we are surfing regular. If you push the button, now we're surfing goofy. Same thing goes for the surf ramps and vertical. So this button is set to 5. You can put it any distance you like. That'll make the ramp of the wave steeper. The higher the number, the steeper it is. And same thing with this button. They kind of work hand in hand. You can play around with it a little bit, but I'd suggest for starting putting them both onto 3 and try that. Speed is down in the bottom corner. So here's where you can adjust your speed. And here is your speed on or speed off. Once that's set on, you can basically put the throttle all the way down and it'll only go up to the speed that you've indicated. And you can also on this screen control the volume to the stereo on here. But again, there is no Bluetooth and you will have to have your phone hooked up to the one in the glove box. There's also some settings in the glove box where you can adjust the tone and different things. This is a nice button here. So that one, this actually will have topographical lake maps. It'll even show you different depths and shorelines and stuff. And if you're on a big lake, this is actually quite handy to use. This button here is for user settings. I don't recommend going into there. It can be a little bit confusing. Just simply go to the surf screen and set it for what you wish. And for wakeboarding, you don't even have to go into the surf mode. Just basically fill the ballast how you like them and set up the speed control to around 18 to 21 miles per hour. And you'll have an enormous, super nice rampy wakeboard wave as well. Music, you can switch between the radio and your iPod or your Samsung phone through here. Back to the home screen. Really, there isn't much more to show you on this. I just tried to keep it simple. Obviously, there's a lot more detailed settings you can have, but the point I wanted to make was not to let this overwhelm you and just go out into the lake and learn it. It is a little bit tricky to learn at first, but once you get the knack of it, you'll find it'll be super easy the more and more that you use this screen. Little storage in there. Nice tilt wheel. Seats are heated. This is where we always keep the plug. Again, keep that out. Anytime you take the boat out of the water, it's good to have that with you. In the cup holders, in the same spot all the time. For this rear view mirror, you just basically push this in. I can't do it while I'm holding the phone, but this will pull out as you push this and then tilt it to the desired angle. And that is really everything. If you have any questions, contact Wayne at Epic Rentals, 403-819-2573.